Hey guys, Creator Mom. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the movie called The Voyeurs. I think that's how you say it. And I've been making videos and then deleting them because this movie is so long. It's like 2 hours long. And I feel like there's a lot to describe. But I feel like there's only one point that I want to bring out about this movie. So, the point that I thought was important to grasp from this movie was that our assumptions, like about other people, like our assumptions are our own. Our judgments are our own. And I feel like this movie showed me that when we're busy judging other people, we're really judging ourselves. So, what in the movie, this couple moves into a big, beautiful loft apartment. And they have these big, gigantic windows. Well, their neighbors that are across in the loft apartment building across the way also have big, gigantic windows, and they can see through the window. The people across from them have intercourse for everyone to see, basically. Okay. So the couple is like, oh my God, like they're just having sex right there. Like we can see them. Like they kind of go back and forth with each other. Like, should we be looking at this? Like, is this okay? Like, well, obviously it's okay because like they have their window open, like they're doing it right out in the open. It's almost like they want us to see. Well, the girl gets a little bit more intrigued than the boyfriend does, really, because I think that she's bored with her life, and I think that she's also probably a little bit bored with her boyfriend, but they're together and she knows that he loves her, and you know what I'm saying? Like I think that she was just kind of like settling for that. What intrigued her about this couple across the way that they could see was that it looked more passionate. You know what I mean? It looked more fun, less vanilla. Like her boyfriend was really like vanilla, it was like kind of boring. So in one instance, they kind of like were looking at the one couple and they used that to kind of get them aroused, and they were looking through binoculars while they themselves were. So, but then things started to get a little bit weird because, like, they noticed that the guy was having like other women over while his girlfriend was away. So now the girl was getting all into it. She was like, "Oh my God, well the girlfriend should know that he is cheating. And she starts kind of putting her nose where it doesn't belong. But all the meanwhile, she was wishing that she was one of those girls, like the movie is actually really crazy. So then, through a series of events, she ends up connecting with the girlfriend. I'm not really going to go into every single detail of the movie because it would just be too much. She ends up finding a way to tell the girlfriend that, hey, like this dude's cheating on you. He's bringing over all these other girls. And like he was a photographer. So she's like, you know. So after she had told the girl this, they're watching the couple from across the way. Okay, well, what happened was the girl interrupted their they have a printer Wi-Fi, so she was sending messages through the Wi-Fi to the printer. So she sent the messages like, "Oh, he's cheating on you, blah, blah, blah. So she's looking through her binoculars, watching this girl looking at her read the messages that are being printed off the printer. And then all of a sudden, she's looking through the binoculars and sees the girlfriend or the wife or whatever pick up a knife. And they're like, oh my God, oh my God. The point is they're interfering way too much and now they're causing trouble, right? Or so they think they are. So she goes to almost like kill the boyfriend, and the couple that, the voyeurs, I'll call them, the ones who are looking at the doctors, they're like freaking out, like, oh my God, what should we do? We should call the cops, whatever. Anyways, the people across the way, the girl acts like she's gonna kill her husband, and then doesn't, and then the next morning they're looking through the binoculars and they see that the wife is like dead, or what appears to be dead, because the husband goes and tries to pick her up and she's all limp. And so the voyeur girl is assuming that, oh my God, because of what I did, because I told the wife, hey, your husband or man is cheating on you, she committed suicide, right? So that's what she's thinking. So she keeps on. By this point, her boyfriend, the voyeur boyfriend, is fed up with his voyeur girlfriend and is like, you know what, you're interfering too much. You're like getting obsessed in these people's lives. Like, I'm not enough for you. So he leaves her. So the voyeur girl, her boyfriend, leaves her. And then, um, and then she's watching still the guy now. The guy is in his apartment. He's all upset, like, because his wife or girlfriend just committed suicide. So she's watching him drink alcohol, and he throws the bottle and he leaves the apartment. He goes to this bar that's like right there in the corner. So she follows him to the bar. She sits at a table and she's looking at him, and they, make eye contact. And then he comes over and starts talking to her. And he's like, basically, anyways, he just starts talking to her and shit. And she proceeds to tell him in their conversation this like Chinese myth or fable or something about this donkey who is never satisfied. And it asks 3 times the Jupiter God, or whatever, to switch its master. And on the third time, it was like, are you sure you want to switch masters? Because you may not be able to. This one could be even harsher. Like, you're not going to be able to switch back when you make this change. So donkey goes like, yeah. And the third master ends up being somebody who actually wants to kill the donkey and use its skin. So here she is trying to like preach to him a message about like contentment, because he's saying how like he was saying how like sleeping with a bunch of different women or whatever is the same as like masturbating. So um so anyways, that's where she goes to tell him this fable or whatever. And then she ends up going home with him. So that's the hypocrisy of it all, right? Like, she told his, wife who had committed suicide, supposedly, hey, your man's cheating on you. But yet, after the wife commits suicide, supposedly, and she meets up with this guy, she ends up going back to his place with him. And he photographs her and she gets naked for him and everything like that. And then she ends up having intercourse with him, of course, because that's what she wanted from the beginning. Like, she was bored of her life. Like, the fable that she shared with him was really a reflection of her. You know what I mean? She's the one who felt like she was the donkey, and that like she shouldn't really ask for more because, that she should just be content where she was at. But that, you know what I mean? And she believed by trying to get more that that was probably only going to lead to bad circumstances in her life. So, therefore, like, that's what she received. Like, so what happened was she had intercourse with him, and then it's funny in the movie, at the same time she's in his loft having intercourse with him, her boyfriend, who had left her because he was like, "You're too obsessed with these people," he comes back to their apartment. So guess what? He's coming back at the very same time that she's in the loft across, with the other dude. So he comes into the apartment and he's like realizing she's not there. And he goes to look and he like glances out the window, and what does he see? He sees his like, well, he kind of broke up with her. He did leave her, but he sees his like ex-girlfriend, like, right away with that dude. And then when she gets back to her apartment, her own loft the next day, she notices the door is open. She's like, "What's going on?" She goes in and she sees that her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, has hung himself. So, or that's what it appears to be, you know what I mean? That he hung himself. So, moral of the story, right? It gets worse. So, this guy that she slept with, so he's a photographer, right? So he told her, "Come to my opening," his art gallery, whatever, photography opening. So she goes to the opening with her friends, and the guy calls up his wife. Ta-da! She didn't commit suicide. It was all an act. So they go to pull down to display his wonderful photographs. They have them covered up, but they unveil them, and they are of this voyeur girl. And basically what they did was created a montage of her life and of her observing them. So meanwhile, the whole time she thinks she's watching them, but really they're watching her watching them. They have, so basically they displayed how her and her boyfriend were all obsessed with looking at them through the binoculars, and they just showed everything that happened. It was like kind of turned around on her, and she was embarrassed, obviously, and she was angry that they used her like that. That they it was like an entrapment, you know. They wanted them to look because they wanted to observe them looking at them, if that makes sense. I know this can be confusing. So yeah, she was used and her boyfriend died because of it. Of course, it was all her choice. She didn't have to look. She didn't have to get so involved in their situation, but her assumptions were reflected and dab smacked her right in the face, like because of her own boredom, because of her, I don't know, like she was preaching exactly what she was preaching against exactly what she was secretly desiring, maybe because she didn't want to step outside that box, you know what I'm saying, and find something better. Like she had no like passion, and I think that that's what she became obsessed about with these people. So yeah, she was mortified, and basically what she did is she chose to to get back at them. It's funny because here she is thinking she's like judging this guy for sleeping with all these girls, and she ends up sleeping with him too because that's what she really wanted, you know. She was really just judging herself because she knew, I think she knew that that's what, you know, that's what she wanted. So she sends them, they were pretty ruthless, like in there and what they did, you know, how they set her up. Um, but she sent them a bottle of wine that she wrote was from somebody else. And it was like, I think it was drugged. And then somehow she lured them to follow her or chase her to this. She was an ophthalmologist, so she ran into her office and they chased her there. And basically, the drug or whatever that she had given them caused them to like pass out. And what she did was she put them under the LASIK machine and she basically burned their like corneas out. So basically, the couple that set her up end up like blind or whatever. It's really a crazy movie. But yeah, I mean, that's really all that I could come up with about it was that she basically just acted out her own assumptions. Um, the same destruction that was brought upon that donkey was the same destruction that kind of was brought upon her life, and she was trying to put it on somebody else. Like she was trying to tell somebody else like that teach someone else a lesson, when really, because it was her assumption, all it did was reveal itself in her life. A moral of the story is like basically just, stay out of other people's business.